in this section we are going to talk about the Groups toolbox and also the Hatching and Patterns toolbox. To get to those particular tools for your Groups toolbox, if you go to your main toolbar, you can get to that toolbox right here, which has some of the group options. Or you can also go down to your Construction toolbar and get your Groups toolbar right here. These are the ones we'll mainly be talking about for this class. Also, with your Hatching and Patterns, you can get to that toolbox in your main toolbar right here, which has all of your hatch tools and pattern tools. Or you can go to your Construction toolbar and get to those tools down here. With your Groups toolbox, if I expand this out, we'll talk about the drop element, which basically if you have an element that's out there and you need to drop it, that's what that tool will allow you to do. Create complex chain. If you have separate items that were out there and you want to create it as a complex chain, you can do that. So the next time you move it or copy it, it'll move that whole entire thing instead of separate elements. And then also create complex shape. So if you have a bunch of items that were out there that were already drawn and you want to create a shape out of it, that's the tool that you would use for that. And then with your Hatching and Pattern tools, you get the option to hatch an area if you want to hatch an area, or if you want to do a cross hatch. Your pattern area, if you want to put a pattern inside of an area. You can show the pattern attributes, so if you have one out there and you just want to know what attributes are assigned to it, we can do that. You can match the pattern attributes, and you can also delete pattern. Whenever we go over the hatching tools, what we'll probably do is go to our design pull down and go to the user design file settings manager. And let me expand this out. And the reason why we're probably going to do that is if I go to the symbols and patterns, if you go down through here, you're going to see a bunch of patterns that you can utilize. Pattern removal rock, pattern rock blanket, pattern rock ditch liner, your cross hatch, your hatch, and so forth. All your patterns that you can utilize. The reason why we'll probably go through most of those tools through the settings manager is because whenever you select it through the settings manager, it automatically knows what size it should put it depending on what size border that you have attached to the sheet, and also if you have your category scale set correctly with that size border. That way you're not fighting trying to figure out what size you need to put it if you just go straight to the tool, like what I'm doing here. Your spacing may not be right and you may have to try to figure that out if you go straight to the tool. But if you go to the design pull down and go to the user design file settings manager, or some of these other ones have patterns in them also, depending on what type of sheet that you're working with. But I know this one here has a majority of the patterns, hatching and the patterns inside there, so I'm just going to utilize it. So I can come in here, make sure my category scale is set correct, and then once I select it, of course it brings up the suggested tool with that particular pattern, scale, and so forth. But we'll talk about that more in detail whenever we go over each one of those tools. That's what we're going to be talking about here in this section.